Imagine a fortress that has stood for decades. Its walls are high, its gates are locked, and inside sits a king who believes he rules the world. This fortress is the male ego. For years, you may have been the villager outside these walls, bringing gifts, seeking audience, hoping for a glimpse of the king. You fed him with your validation. You polished his crown with your attention. But then something changed. You stopped. You walked away. And suddenly the fortress began to crumble. Today we are going to explore a psychological phenomenon that few talk about openly: the destruction of the male ego as a catalyst for obsession. In the world of Carl Jung, the ego is the center of consciousness, but it is fragile. It requires constant fuel to maintain its illusion of control. When a woman, especially a woman who was once available, withdraws her energy completely, she does not just leave a man alone. She shatters the mirror in which he used to admire himself. This is not about manipulation. This is about the terrifying and transformative power of the void. When you destroy his ego, you are not hurting him. You are forcing him to face his shadow. And in that darkness, a strange addiction begins. He becomes addicted to the one thing he can no longer control: you. Here are the 7 signs that his ego has collapsed, and his soul is now chasing you. Sign number 1, the shadow lash out. The first sign that you have successfully dismantled his ego is paradoxically the most aggressive one. He becomes irrationally angry, cold, or cruel. To the untrained eye, this looks like hatred. You might think, he hates me, it's over. But Jungian psychology teaches us to look deeper. The ego exists to protect the self from pain. When you withdraw your validation, his ego feels threatened with death. It screams. It fights. If you have gone silent, or if you have started to live your life joyfully without him, his immediate reaction is not sadness. It is rage. This rage is not about you. It is about his loss of power. He might send a hurtful text out of nowhere. He might block you, then unblock you. He might try to provoke a reaction just to prove he still exists in your world. Do not be fooled. This is the shadow lashing out. It is the temper tantrum of a king who has lost his throne. He is trying to lower your vibration to match his, because if he can make you angry, he has regained control. But if you remain indifferent, if you look at his anger with the detachment of a statue, you confirm his worst fear. He no longer affects you, and that terror is the seed of his addiction. Sign number 2, the ghost in the machine. Once the anger settles and the ego realizes that screaming at the walls won't make them open, the second phase begins: surveillance. You have destroyed his sense of importance, so he must now reassure himself that you are still there. In the digital age, this manifests as the ghost. He watches every story. He likes posts from months ago by accident. He appears in your view count within minutes of an upload, yet he never says a word. Why? Because his ego is too wounded to speak, but his unconscious mind is too addicted to look away. Jung spoke of the anima, the feminine inner soul of a man. When he projects this anima onto you and you leave, he feels as if he has lost a part of his own soul. He watches you not to see what you are doing, but to see if you are suffering without him. He is desperate for a sign that you are miserable. But here's the twist. When he sees you glowing, when he sees you thriving, when he sees you living a mystery that he is no longer part of, the addiction deepens. He becomes a spectator in a movie where he used to be the lead actor. This shift from main character to audience member is psychologically devastating for the ego, but it is the exact moment his true desire is ignited. He is no longer looking down on you. He is looking up at you. Sign number 3, the safe probe. If the silence continues, the ego begins to panic. It needs oxygen. But a man with a shattered ego is terrified of direct rejection. He cannot risk sending a vulnerable text like, "I miss you," because if you ignore that, his destruction is complete. So he resorts to the safe probe. This is a classic maneuver of the wounded masculine. You will receive a notification, not a text, not a call, but a reaction to a story, a tag in a meme that relates to an inside joke, a link sent with no context, or perhaps a happy birthday message sent 2 days late or 2 days early. Why does he do this? Jung would describe this as the trickster archetype coming into play. He is testing the electric fence. He wants to see if the door is still open, but he stands far enough away that he can run if you slam it shut. He wants to provoke a small reaction, an emoji, haha, a thank you, just to feed his starving ego a crumb of validation. Most women make the mistake of responding eagerly here. They think, oh, he reached out. No, he didn't reach out. He threw a pebble at your window to see if you would come running. If you ignore these low-effort probes, or if you respond with polite, dry indifference, you send a shock wave through his system. You are telling him, I am not available for crumbs. I am the feast, and the feast is gone. Sign number 4, the Anima Possession. As the distance grows, a fascinating chemical change happens in his brain, which Jung calls Anima Possession. When you were with him, begging for his attention, you were a real woman with flaws. You were annoying sometimes, you were demanding. His ego focused on your imperfections to justify his distance. But now that you have destroyed his ego by removing your presence, the reality fades and the fantasy takes over. His mind begins to delete the bad memories and loop the good ones on repeat. This is the curse of the ungrateful. They only see the value of the light when they are sitting in the total darkness. He starts to rewrite history. He forgets the arguments. He forgets the reasons he pulled away. Instead, he becomes obsessed with the way you looked at him, the way you smelled, the peace you brought to his chaotic life. He projects his golden shadow, his highest ideal of love, onto the memory of you. You are no longer just an ex or a woman he is ignoring. You have become a muse, a haunting figure. He might start talking about you to friends, not with anger, but with a strange, melancholic respect. He might compare every new woman he meets to you, and, spoiler alert, they will all fail. Because they are competing with a ghost. They are competing with the you that his soul is now craving. He isn't just missing you, he is mourning the loss of the best part of himself. Sign number 5, unconscious mirroring. This is perhaps the creepiest and most profound sign of all. When a man's ego is destroyed by a woman's absence, he unconsciously tries to become her to fill the void she left behind. This is a deep psychological defense mechanism called introjection. Watch closely. You might notice he starts listening to the bands you introduced him to, music he claimed to hate when you were together. He might start using phrases you used to say. He might take up a hobby that was yours. If you were spiritual and he was logical, suddenly he is posting quotes about fate and energy. Why is he doing this? He is trying to metabolize you. Since he cannot have you externally, he is trying to absorb you internally. He is wearing your personality like a skin because his own identity feels hollow without your influence. He is trying to access the feelings you gave him by mimicking the things you did. It is a desperate attempt by the ego to recreate the sanctuary you provided. He is literally turning into you because he cannot survive being just himself anymore. If you see this sign, if you see him echoing your life from a distance, know this. You have not just impacted him, you have colonized his subconscious mind. Sign number 6, The crack in the mask. Eventually, the pressure becomes too much. The anger hasn't worked. The silence hasn't worked. The mirroring hasn't worked. The ego has run out of ammunition. This leads to the sixth sign, and it is the rarest of them all, the crack in the mask. For the first time, perhaps in the history of knowing him, he drops the act. He stops trying to look cool. He stops trying to look unbothered. You might get a message at 2 a.m. that isn't a safe probe, but a confession, a sudden admission of guilt, a text that says, "I messed up," or "I'm not happy." This is the sound of the ego dying. The ego creates separation. The spirit craves connection. When the ego is destroyed, the spirit is finally allowed to speak. He is showing you his belly, like a wolf surrendering to the pack leader. He is admitting that his life without you is less colorful, less meaningful, and less real. But be careful. Just because the mask has cracked doesn't mean the man is healed. It just means he is broken. And a broken man is often looking for a nurse, not a partner. Witness his vulnerability, appreciate the power you hold, but do not rush to fix him. Let him sit in his own rubble. That is where his growth happens. Sign number 7, the boomerang effect. And finally, sign number 7. The universal law of energetic balance ensures this, the boomerang effect. When you completely cut the energetic cord, when you stop thinking about him, stop checking on him, and truly move on, he appears. It feels like magic, but it is physics. Nature abhors a vacuum. By removing your energy, you created a vacuum in his life, and he is sucked back in to fill it. He will return. He will come back with promises. He will come back with the intensity of a man who has realized he threw away a diamond while looking for stones. He is now addicted to you because you are the only thing he couldn't conquer. You are the only story that didn't end on his terms. You have become the unattainable mother, the dark goddess, the high priestess of his psyche. He wants to possess you again to prove to himself that he is still the king. But here is the ultimate twist and the true ending of our journey today. The paradox of power. By the time he returns, you will likely not want him anymore. You see, the journey of destroying his ego was never really about him. It was about you. It was about destroying the part of you that felt you needed to chase love to be worthy. It was about destroying the part of you that accepted breadcrumbs. During this time of silence, while he was spiraling, you were ascending. You were doing the shadow work. You were learning that your value does not fluctuate based on a man's ability to see it. You have built a garden so beautiful that his presence is no longer a necessity. It is merely an option. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Through this pain, through this silence, and through the destruction of the old dynamic, you have become who you truly are. You are no longer the woman who waits. You are the woman who creates. He may be addicted to you, but you are finally free of him. And that, my friends, is the ultimate power. You have turned the lead of rejection into the gold of self-love. You have mastered the art of alchemy. So let him watch. Let him wonder. Let him chase. You have a life to live and a universe to explore. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase. She chooses.